Fall season marches along and the weather pattern is finally beginning to take shape. I say that because in climatology, there's always a time of the year in August and September when it's really hard, probably the hardest time of the year to see very far into the future. Once we start to see the type of fall pattern that gets established, we can start making a little bit of sense out of the season. And what I'm seeing is that the general trend will be toward cooler weather, which you expect as you move toward October, but not a really unusually cold pattern. In fact, generally speaking, most of the U.S. will be warmer than average or near average temperature-wise. And while we're not going to have no rain in the country, the next several weeks, certainly the next couple of weeks, are looking generally pretty dry. It looks like a mild, dry fall. The pattern right now is really marked by the jet stream being split into two parts, and that kind of betrays storminess. Both of the branches of the jet are pretty far north. The primary polar jet is way up north, which does keep the really cold air bottled up in the high Arctic. There is a weaker little wind field that's meandering around the northern plains, but it's relatively far north as well. So as we start this week, we've got pretty warm weather throughout the Great Plains, the Corn Belt, and it's going to stay that way for the first part of the week. I do see a bit of a consolidation and a bit of a troughiness developing around the middle of the week. That's going to pull down some cool weather, maybe even cool enough for some freezing temperatures at night in the usual places like North Dakota, northern Minnesota, and even that's going to be kind of iffy. Further south, it will continue to be fairly warm, but this low pressure trough, which you'll see in just a minute, is going to carve out an opportunity for the most substantial moisture of the next couple of weeks through this part of the Great Lakes upper Midwest. Toward the end of the week, that ridge trying to build back up again in the west. A lot of hot temperatures in the west coast, a lot of warm weather into the northern plains. This, though, I believe will be fleeting. And as we look at the last full week of September, northwest flow will get reestablished, which will likely pull cool weather into early October down into the northern plains and the Great Lakes, mostly the Great Lakes Northeast in particular. The rest of this will be actually a little bit warmer than average. As far as rainfall goes, the development of that trough of low pressure in the Great Plains is likely to lead to at least some limited showers and thunder showers, mostly around Minnesota, Iowa, into the Great Lakes. The southern states look pretty dry. The southwest looks pretty dry. There will be some rain into northern California, hopefully more rain than lightning. The second week of the forecast, which is the last week of October, kind of very classic September weather as I look for the dryness to really spread across most of the United States. Just stray areas of rain along the coastal areas for the most part, a little warmer than average and mostly dry.